void.
It's Digi and Riley, aka Busy and the Golden Witch, the VOIDGAZERS. Follow me into the void, touching typically your void. Feelings that you're paranoid of making you into a joint to bury. We carry all your memories and remix your ancestors. Past the future, have a melt in your mouth texture.
Cheese bread, take your head. Just rush the bed, dodge the fence. The virus spreads, you're not safe, so take the pill. Everyone can see you on the hill, so come into the void.
Vaporwave already popped out of nowhere and then disappeared and then disappeared from even further out of nowhere.
Right. I think just it became mainstream in such a way that the idea of matching anime and any kind of lo-fi or weird degenerative art is just extremely popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aesthetic that can't go away. It's too cool.
Yeah. Did you see the new, I think it was something Vito posted, the Belle Delphine in her, rape, photos? Or, staged, it's not real. It's just for porn.
What do you mean by
staged? Air quotes, it is staged. She didn't get raped on camera.
Yeah.
I don't think.
You mean staged
These are
rape.
the legal disclaimers we have to put on.
No.
Of course it's not real.
Rape.
Yeah.
Not
rape should have been the quotation.
Listen, my hands and my mind aren't working on the same time. But anyways, the entire Belle Delphine thing.
What about it? I mean, she wasn't even dressed like a kid. Everyone pissed me off by saying she was dressed like a kid. She was literally wearing the Tradwife meme dress.
Yeah, and it doesn't even
Her hair was
matter.
blonde in the video.
Right.
She was the Tradwife meme.
Yeah.
You fucking idiots.
They just hate women
She wasn't a child. She wasn't a kid. It wasn't lolly shit. It's not dressing up and
She's just an adult that looks younger than normal. Or they're just an adult that looks young, which is a thing.
But again, the point of that video, it's Tradwife. She's a meme porn star. She's doing the Tradwife thing. Look at the
the
fucking
people
meme.
hate her because she just looks young.
Swink.
Swink.
She could look younger.
Yeah,
Huh?
She could look younger.
I discovered that Loli existed at the age that I would be a Loli if I was drawn.
Same.
So it's never been it just never has occupied my mind as oh, this is weird. It's just oh, that's a thing that exists, sure.
Right. I've been on the internet since I was 11, and when I got into anime, I was the same age as a lot of the characters, particularly Evangelion or something. I related to Shinji as a 14-year-old who felt similar to him. He's surrounded by hot girls. Zombeeto's going crazy, and he's oh no, I'm a fucking incel, I don't know what to do. Everybody wants me to save the world, and I just want to die. And then, he jacks off, and the world ends.
I heard that was highly out of character for him, though.
What, that he
the
jacked
jerking
off?
off part.
I mean...
Because, Shinji never seemed like a character that would be so bold to even, break a rule like that.
I think it might just be that he was so psychologically at the end of his rope at that point. I don't know. It is weird. I think it might have been overly symbolic because, there's a lot of hatred went into the production of End of Eva because after the end of the TV show, Hideaki Anno got death threats and shit over the ending being a confusing mess. And so, he was angry at the audience when he made the movie, and so I think he wanted to kind of imply that this is you just fucking masturbating over Asuka's corpse.
Zombie.
What's in your head? Thanks for calling.
Oh, I assumed you guys were doing the whole thing, but
I'm very glad you introduced me to this guy's Twitter feed. It's a gem.
bless. I'm feeling so much love, and we're 15 seconds into the call. Also, hi, Riley, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Let me give you another one too. Your Twitter account has quickly become one of 4 or 5 that have filled the place for me of Moon Cult. So that's why it's valuable. You got to stay on the platform because you've got some real Moon Cult vibey tweets sometimes.
Do you guys know the Perfume Nationalist? Have you ever heard of that guy, Jack?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty esoteric. It's not a hard recommend, although I do like that podcast. But Anyway, one of the things Jack says is that if you want to be a successful artist, you should just like try to fall face forward into your mental illness. So
That's what I've been doing and saying this entire fucking time. I'm glad we're on the same page.
yeah, so that to be compared to Moon Cult, that's always the thing where it's like a lot of times I'll get compared to people and I'll be like, fuck, I'm scared to go that hard. So, but I think that might be like a barrier I need to punch through. I barely even consider myself a creator. Like I've always written, and now I'm just taking the things I write and like putting them on the internet. So It's like, it's not, I'm not like going hard in the paint at the moment, but like the amount of people who are interested in what I'm doing, which is about 20, are all so overwhelmingly enthusiastic about what I've done. And so that's always been like a weird experience, because it's like, even if no one knows who I am, just like being able to feel that it's meaningful to such a small number of people is like weirdly, like almost psychically as validating.
Yes.
I agree. And that's pretty much why I use Twitter, because like I don't have a big Twitter. It seems almost like I do. I have like 25,000 followers, but most of them are not that engaged. Like
Right.
I consider it a huge tweet for me if I get 500 likes and like maybe 20, 30 retweets. Like that is a big Digi tweet. So that's not like, you know, mainstream Twitter user numbers or anything. But like most of what I use Twitter for is that like probably 60 or so mutuals who I know who they are, who will, you know, usually engage. Zombie, you're one of them. Like you and I will both probably like or retweet or respond to each other's tweets in a given week. And like that's the most fun, is like, oh, I wonder what, you know, I wonder what my fucking mutuals are up to. Yep. That's what I go to Twitter for.
Okay, yeah, I relate to that so much, because it's like, okay, not to get super into it, but like the thing at the Capitol happened, and now more than ever, people are talking about like, oh, how social media makes people crazy or whatever.
Right.
I feel like I'm the only person whose mental health has been overwhelmingly improved by going on Twitter.com. Like, I go on Twitter. Thank you.
It's helped me become a lot more sociable than I used to be. I was born and raised in California, full into the leftist stuff, so, like Digi was saying, all the communists are surprisingly not communal. They're not interested in actually, like, hanging out with people that they live with. They just want to, like, not see other people.
And not see other people, yeah.
Twitter's awesome because I get to talk to, like, I mean, me specifically, I have this feeling that I get to talk to anyone I want to, whenever I want. Yeah. And I guess I get that other people don't share that feeling, but maybe their experience would shift if they did.
Well, there's a whole, like, section of people I met through the Zone who have this, like self-deprecating gay sense of humor. Like that one guy, Hayden, he'll tweet constantly just like the most homophobic shit as like a gay person. And once you get in on the joke, it's like the funniest thing I've ever experienced. But if I didn't know him, I would be like, what is wrong with this person? Who is this person like on Twitter just hating gay people? So anything like crazy esoteric like that is always really attractive. Any confluence of like two very odd interests is the way to hook me, and I think the way to hook anyone. Like you just use the term muscle bro. There's this person I know on Twitter who's like muscle bro and then fucking loves poetry.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's their thing, right? They'll be like, this is a poem I wrote. You know, just set a new squat record. And then that's it. You just need two odd things that don't seem like they should go together, and I'll pay attention to you. I mean, I've only been on Twitter for 18 months, but like at least for 18 months.
Right. What's my Twitter read like? What the fuck is my presence on Twitter?
What do you think, Zombie?
Probably just a shill for the Dick Show.
Well, I see you, Riley, as like vaguely inspiring. If that makes any sense. Like, talk a lot about like how to do things. And so I don't know if that's your intention, but I see you as like a motivational Twitter presence. Yeah, Riley, I saw you posted once. It was something like, oh, you think I won't record X amount of songs in X period of time? I fucking will. And then I was like, did anyone tell him that he couldn't do this? Or was he just like preemptively being like, no one's going to stop me from doing this?
I mean, I know what you're talking about. I was having like this angst period at the beginning of this month where I was like, look, if I'm going to actually do music, like I'm behind because the popular artists that I like are my age. And I have to put 10,000 fucking hours into producing and recording and putting out my own music and just develop it. And I guess, in my head, that tweet comes from a place where I'm like, we had sold 3 or 4 albums the first week of this year. And I was like, well, if I can just make fucking 4 albums and sell them, in my head, I'm like, you know what? I can just sell 1 million albums and then I will have $1 million, right? Like, I'll just sell 1 million fucking $1 albums.
Either those same 3 people will hopefully buy the album I release.
I'll find new people. There's billions of people. Yeah. I will find 4,000 people to give me fucking money for making music because I want to make music more than I want to do anything else.
God, 4,000. That is a perfect number.
That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah. There's this really great book by Orwell called The Road to Wigan Pier that I read a while ago. And there's a part in it I really like where he talks about how much he loves communism and how it acts essentially as like a bug lamp for every insane person who like exists in the world. And I thought that was like just one of the most like telling and pressing things ever, because he has this whole list. He's like vegans, feminists, health nuts, sex freaks, miracle cure quacks, and this is like an 80-year-old book. And he's like moths to a flame. Anytime you hear the word socialism or communism, all of these people are attracted. And I, as like, whatever I am politically, like vaguely left-leaning, feel that way as well, where it's just like, it's like this thing, like you say the words like redistribute the wealth, and all of the nuttiest people it's like ever occurred to you just like suddenly show up and are like, also I have this value, when what you would think it is would be like guys in overalls who like want better pay at the factory or like union or something. It just has the worst fucking brand of anything that ever existed. Like how it got divorced from like people who have jobs.
Oh, well, right. Like it's weird that it's not just an economic theory now. It's like, oh, this is my lifestyle identity. It's like, I'm a communist. And it's like, well, you don't have a job. You can't redistribute anything. You don't produce wealth. You're not part of the system. Again, you have to have a ticket for the fucking train to even be considered a person on the train. I am heavily on the side of the train in Snowpiercer. Everyone go watch that.
You know what impressed me about that movie?
What?
Was that the guy who was the drug addict, like just sort of the cool drug addict with like that tag-along girl, was just fucking, spoilers, he was just fucking faking it the whole time. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Oh,
I mean,
funny.
I like to think that he was doing the drugs still. Like, he is a drug addict.
Okay, so he was getting high, but then also they were part of his like escape plan or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually have to go, but goodbye.
Yeah. See you, zombie. Godspeed.
Hello, YouTube. We're doing a very special unboxing video today of this Harry Potter Mystery Wand Professor series. Contains 1 of 9 mystery wands, wand stand, and die-cast icon.
So you're gonna have a wand, like a witch's wand.
Yeah.
They're always talking about about the motif of witchiness.
Yeah.
You're reading witch manga.
I believe in magic, but I don't like Disney shit. Harry
Potter is universal.
Harry Potter's fine. I grew up with I read the first 2 books as a kid. I was like I was probably close to Harry Potter's age when the first book came to the US.
Collectible item, ladies and gentlemen.
There was like a pull tab, but like when I pulled on it, I got a little bit, and that was about that.
We're opening boxes. We're opening bags. We're opening this box inside a bag.
This one.
Been defeated by
this
Harry Potter.
This is embarrassing, folks.
I definitely appreciate the aesthetic. I mean, if I think of witches, probably what comes to mind first would be like Kiki's Delivery Service, which is a Hayao Miyazaki film that is like probably the most like straightforward application of witch aesthetics, where like the conceit is that when witches leave home, they have to like wear the traditional witch garb of like just a plain black dress and like a broom, and go out and find a town and become the witch of that town, essentially. So she like goes out to do that.
But is that not like a hollow interpretation of what like a witch is?
At first, she's kind of like not the biggest fan of the traditions. This is just like, I guess, ads for like other Harry Potter stuff that you can buy, probably.
Throw that shit out.
It all looks
Wand is-
extremely expensive. Oh, I see what
He
you're
will
saying.
get someone's wand.
Yeah, it's this one.
You got Horace Slughorn, the potion
Horus,
man.
I got the potions.
Potion
I like
man.
potions.
Wait, it really-
I'm
yeah.
definitely a big fan of potions, if you
So
know
now,
what I mean.
so now you have a wand. Now you just need a
Yeah.
lot of wands. Instead of like a spoon collection, you could have a wand collection.
Alright, watch this. I'm going to snap a potion into my hand. You ready? You fucking see that already with this thing.
Magic.
So in Kiki's delivery service, it's like you got the witch goes off to this town, and she loses her spark for witchcraft to a point where she like can't do it anymore.
There's
And
a
then
stand.
oh, a stand.
You would want to just hold it, wouldn't you? So it's your
Sure.
wand.
Well,
I know, but let's see what
you
it
can't
looks-
always
let's
be
see how
holding
it-
a wand. You're like sitting
See
on
how
your
it
desk,
looks when
maybe.
you, But yeah, like, so Kiki goes off into the woods and she meets an artist lady who just lives in the woods. When you fucking have writer's block, you just gotta fucking go do something and have fun and take your mind off it and then go back and do more magic. And so, like, it basically presents the idea that, like, art and magic are kind of, like, the same thing. So, you know, through magic such as editing, like, stuff like that can happen. And, you know, through magic, like cooking stuff like that segment that you saw before, or this segment that you're about to see can happen.
You know what Kava is? I guess it's Middle Eastern Chipotle. Like, they started as a food cart. And their, like, red sauce is notoriously hot.
No, but that sounds great.
Yeah, it doesn't exist this far south in Virginia. Like, you would have to go up to, like, D.C. to see it exist. Or, like, Northern
Great.
Virginia.
Habanero.
Because it started before. You gave me a much bigger one than you're taking.
What? I don't. It's
Wait,
big.
hold
Mine
them
is
up
bigger
together?
in length. Mine's bigger in length. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's smaller in literally every way.
Here. Then.
It's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna.
I just
Here.
wanted to call you out.
What if you both eat two of them?
What if, bro?
Sounds like it would be awesome.
Let's see how the first. Well, they're not. I don't want to say they're too hot because I always have them mixed in food, but they shouldn't be that hot.
They don't actually smell that hot.
Like habaneros.
I only eat the green ones from like cafeteria salads. Remember those?
Green ones from cafeteria salads. Let me go.
Do you know what type I'm
You
talking
want
about?
Do you want water?
No, I got water.
Cool.
I
Cheers.
dumped out the liquor in this. And it's
Oh.
just water now.
Based.
Yeah.
Hey, YouTube advertisers. We're friendly.
Family friendly. Yeah, I've never eaten one of these raw.
This isn't bad at all.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you a
Those
bit.
are worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty enjoyable actually.
Yeah, it's got just enough of a kick. It do be sneaking up.
Yeah.
Have you considered eating 3 or more?
Bitch. This is a command.
They ate a pepper.
What kind? Is it a habanero?
Yeah.
You got a whole tray of habaneros? Me and Shade used to do this, and yeah, drink a lot of milk afterwards. Do a review of the latest anime you saw.
Latest anime I saw. Jesus. I rewatched Goblin Slayer to watch the movie Goblin Crown.
It really sucked ass, I thought. What did you
Well, compared to the normal Goblin Slayer, yeah.
I did a Can-Tan on it with meat. Go watch Can-Tan.
Oh god, I fucked up.
Can-Tan! Alright, Bird, review the latest anime you saw.
What's the latest anime?
Do you not remember the last anime you saw?
I read some Chainsaw Man with you.
That's not anime.
What's the one you watched with Jujutsu Kaisen that isn't Jujutsu Kaisen?
I know. You didn't watch any of Talentless Nana with me, did you?
Autistic Girl.
Fucking The Day I Became God.
I rubbed
Right.
my eye with the hand I held the pepper.
Oh, that was very
Can you
foolish.
use
So-
some more peppers?
I know how to get some ice.
Do like a hot ones thing.
That's what we're doing right now. We're doing a hot pepper game review, but with anime.
It's hot pepper game.
They eat these and then they have to review a game. It was very popular.
So
But I made Shade do it with anime once, but Shade took the pepper too well, so... Well, Bird's taking it pretty well.
So there's this anime called The Day I Became God, where a senior basketball player in high school gets approached by this 12-year-old Loli with like purple hair who identifies as Odin, like full-on Thunen Moonin, all that shit. And she says that the world is going to end in 30 days. It's all going to be over. So there's no point in worrying about coming back to school. You should just have a good time with summer. And so the show mostly consists of them having a good time with summer. They play basketball, they eat ramen, and I pretty much missed the 6 episodes in between. It's like 13 episodes, right?
It was 12 episodes, yeah.
Then I missed the 6 middle episodes, and when I came back to the show, they had met. So the girl's not Odin. She's
Even though she has shown omniscient powers throughout the series. Like, she is omniscient, seemingly, but she's not Odin. It's not the reason she thinks.
So they, the main character goes to find Odin's parents, who, as soon as they bring her into the house, the dad's like, "You gotta leave," and the mom just starts crying and is like, "Oh my god, I can't do this." And, they take her out to the beach. They bring out a dog, Odin, or Hina, right? Her name was Hina?
Yeah.
Odin or Hina, which is her name. Hina starts playing with the dog, and the father's like, "Yo, that dog wants to play like you used to, Dad." And then the dad sits down to main character and says, "You see, this girl was born with a disease where as she ages, her muscle fibers deteriorate. And so the girl you know now is much different than the girl you met because her grandfather is a mad scientist who developed a quantum computer and put it in her head."
Yeah, she's got a quantum computer inside her brain.
And that's the twist of the show.
Well, the real twist is that they pull that shit out of her brain and it makes her autistic again. So at the end of the show, all she can say is, "Ah! Ah!" She walks around making autism noises, and that's the end of the fucking show. She's in a wheelchair.
Sounds like a bad
buzzed
ending.
off.
So in
And
the
she's
best
fucking,
show of
like,
this
I mean,
year.
she makes it to the point where she can throw a basketball and be like, "Ah!" And everybody's like, "Yeah, we really made progress." She's still in there, guys. The one we knew and loved when we watched the rest of the show was
Who is
still in there.
literally an omniscient computer that doesn't exist.
Yeah, no. they
Like
took the
what
computer
was
out and
deemed-
It's gone. The government took it.
The
And
computer
that's
was
it.
deemed too dangerous to exist by like 50 different world
Yeah.
leaders. There's a whole
So
scene
they just
about
made
it.
the girl retarded again. There you go. That's it.
So you consider
boy,
eating
you do
2 more
another
each?
I was cutting these to cook, but
This could be a good video.
I think
It might be
you've done fine. I think they did a good idea. I think they.
But Luke, haven't you considered having 3 more?
I mean,
Let's
it's
make
been
one.
considered, but
let's make Manny eat one.
Yeah, we'll
And
do
I'll
it.
do it. Okay.
the habanero was hotter than I thought it would be. Because I've mixed habaneros into my food a lot, but never eaten one raw.
But what's your
The
favorite
camera-
anime?
the camera
My
doesn't,
favorite-
I promise you that the lens he's using is super zoomed out, so like it doesn't look as close on camera as it feels like it is in your face.
Well,
Oh wow.
that's good.
Mint, come eat a pepper.
But the most recent anime was just the Goblin Slayer movie, which I didn't like as much
I got
as
you
the
again.
other anime. I guess I finished. I speed ran Naruto and Shippuden.
Spicy?
Because I saw it as a kid and never liked it.
He's gonna ask you anime questions. Everybody's gonna eat 5 and then answer anime questions.
I was a little disappointed because
Birds only had 1.
part of my incentive for watching it was I really liked the Naruto.
I haven't really been
and I thought they were
into it that much, and I can already taste the spices.
Just eat another 4 real quick.
They do, but like I wanted there to be like more on screen. Like
Right.
basically, I wanted them to hide a romance plot in Naruto, and they didn't.
I can't take it out.
Digi, will you eat a habanero?
Why not?
Well, we talked
Just
about
come on
anime.
now. Did you
Been down this road plenty of times. I have footage of me eating much hotter things, so
What about a tiger and
I've
chili?
earned my keep on the footage of eating hot things.
Okay, since Luke and I have eaten a habanero, I think we need to step it up to a Thai green chili.
with mint? Mint also just has.
Unless I get invited onto hot
for
ones,
this
in which case I will eat spicy
Oh.
things for the sake of going on hot
That
ones.
one's for
But that probably would be
Wait, what's that one?
spicier than
Mine.
what I've had.
What's that one?
Mint.
Ah, I see.
Mint, you want this milk? Bird made you milk.
Welcome back from that cooking segment that you just watched. Did you remember we were still talking about witches and witchcraft and sorcery? I read Harry Potter books 1 and 2. I started reading the third one, but it was too fucking long by that point. And I was like, I just kind of would get dizzy trying to read it and trying to care, like trying to retain all the imagery in my head and like give a shit. And so I was like, eh. And then the movie started coming out, and I saw the first one, and I was like, all right, it's not as good as the book. So, but then the third one is really good, and the 6th and 8th ones are pretty good. Now I have one of the collector wands, so I can do this.
Do you know any spells?
That makes the camera do that.
Nice. The way you've described a witch, like the term witch to me has always had like a connotation, at least with like the occult, like it's intrinsically tied to the occult, like at least the like American folklore of a witch is like it's a woman who's made a deal with Satan to have magical powers.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what
So-
you did, isn't it?
I feel like I was just like born into a world of witchcraft, basically. You know, I wasn't like somebody who ran astray from society. I was born into witch society.
You don't have to run astray from society to make a deal with Satan.
No, but it was just like, you know, it's the kind of thing where I made that deal when I was like 8. So, you know, I was just like reckless abandon, just went for it. I was down to clown, down with the devil day one, basically. So
Based. A female wizard is considered a witch in Harry Potter. Like,
yeah.
it's just a female magic user is the
That
definition of
seems
witch in
like-
that. But it doesn't seem
It
like
varies
it matches
depending on,
witch.
you know, it varies depending on the media presentation. Like, I feel like the Western idea of the witch is very much just like old lady in the woods who mixes mushrooms into cauldrons, and then like it's grown into this idea of like witch academy. Like we now have, you know, bleeding into Japanese media, Little Witch Academia based on stuff like Harry Potter. So like, you know, the idea of just, yeah, witches are just like people who use magic that happen to exist in the world. Thinking of witches as a secret society that's not secret because everybody knows about them. Like everybody knows that witches are a cultural idea. So there are people walking around calling themselves witches and insisting that they can do magic. And it's like either those people can do magic or they're just full of shit. And as far as I'm concerned, I can justify the idea that I say, no, I'm a witch, I do magic. See? And you'll be like,
That's some
okay,
crazy magic.
that's
you just did
witchcraft,
there.
you know? Like,
Wicked witchcraft.
I don't know what else to call that.
Because I always view witches from like the world building perspective because I'm such like a tabletop nerd.
Mm-hmm.
At least in most fantasy interpretations, as far as tabletop is concerned, a witch is always tied necessarily to like that occult aspect where there's something somewhat evil about it or like tied to an evil entity.
Like Hermione Granger can't be a witch just because she's a fuck of a wizard.
Yeah, because she's just a good wizard. Like a witch is like, I guess you view it from the point of view that like there's different types of magic. Like in a Harry Potter wizarding world, it's just like, oh, there's arcane magic.
To some extent,
Well, it's just like separating gender that way, like witch and wizard. That's super not okay or cool, and it's
Because wizard is
certainly
just referring to, like-
discriminatory. Personally, I think that I'm kind of looking at witch as kind of the female equivalent of a devil man, more so than a wizard, to play into what you're saying with the occult thing. Because, you know, I had this song called Everything is Devilman, and I was really playing into the Devilman aesthetic for a few years. So Devilman's one of my favorite manga, and it was very influential to a lot of my favorite anime, such as Evangelion, takes a lot of imagery from it. I reference all the stuff in the song that, like, I consider Devilman shit, and, like, people who culturally are Devilmen. And so I was sort of pitching myself as one of those for a while. But since, like, there is Devilman Lady, or Devil Lady, as it is called in the U.S., So it's not that I couldn't be a devil lady, but like, I really don't think that I'm as intense, like, as I presented myself when I was trying to present like a male persona. Like, to me, like, the fun of being like, okay, well, if I'm gonna look like this, then like I'm gonna be this like outrageous person who's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I'm just gonna say and do anything and be like a real devil character, even though like my intentions are usually not very like disruptive, you know? Like, I'm not somebody who's out to I'm not like a violent personality necessarily. Every once in a while I start some shit by just like talking shit about people, but never out of like hating this person and not wanting to deal with them. It's usually just like out of fun, and like now I'm in the mindset of like, I'm just not gonna talk shit about people anymore. You know, I'm just gonna be a nice person on the internet. And like my image of a witch is like there's, you know, the wicked witch and the nice witch always in any media about witches. You got the bad ones who like really just want to fuck with people, and like they're usually more pranksters, trickster types. I ain't that type at all. I've never been a trickster, never been a troll. Like only as a internet persona would I like only in like such a tongue-in-cheek way that it's really obvious when I'm trolling, in my opinion. Some people don't. So it's like you still sold your soul to the devil, but it's because you don't trust God, you know?
Right. And I think there's a side that, or at least I overlook a lot, like kind of tying it to that occult magic, is that, like, what would be like having a cottage in the forest? Like, there's a lot more of a like natural element
Your head's
to
a
it.
fucking duck now.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Oh, doing well. So, how's y'all week going, man?
It's going great.
I've been having like a particularly fantastic week.
You, me both, dude. I've been having such a good week that I've been a real insufferable douchebag. It feels amazing. I've been investing in the weed market for a couple of years now.
I'm a big fan of that market.
Well, you know, I bought a lot of weed stocks, and I've been keeping my ear to the ground about it. And now, because of the current turn of events in the political sphere, it made the weed market fucking blow the fuck up. Like, it's insane. And so I'm like, fuck it. I bought a 3090 Strix, slapped that bitch in my computer, and I've been like, hey, everybody, how you doing? They're like, oh my God, can you believe it? People have desecrated the Capitol. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking sweet, right? Riots are badass, and I made a shit.
Smoke a joint, bro. Buy me a new graphics card.
That all that disturbance in DC is currently preventing us from buying the weed we normally would be buying at this time.
Right.
It is a bit obstructive.
Because I don't want to go to DC right now because I'm really funny.
Yeah, and that's scary to be in a place where there are, how many National Guards?
Too many.
25,000.
Oh yeah, fuck less.
Last time I checked, and now it's at 25,000.
Well, that's a performative amount of military non-servicemen because the National Guard's not even like a real branch. But
well,
I don't know. It's
I know
too
some
many
National Guardsmen that might disagree with you about that, but
would any of them call in to argue with me about it?
Probably.
I'm from an Army Ranger and Marine family, and they're always arguing about either of them even being real branches. So they're very anti-National Guard.
I do have a personal friend of mine that started off in the National Guard, ended up going Army, and then became a mercenary for a while.
Okay, well that's awesome. We can talk about that some other time. So
yeah, probably not on air.
Yeah, no, there's no way he'd talk about this shit on air, man. Like I had to know this dude for a minute before he'd talk about that type of shit with me. But, you know, I end up making friends like that, man, where people that, like, well, you know, eventually we'll talk about all fucking war stories and shit like that.
Right.
'Cause I got some fucking wild-ass stories from back in my hustling days.
I bet you do, homie. No, you seem really, you're very experienced. I love when you call into the Dick Show because you've just, like, been through some shit you can talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I was
that's what
always
makes
kind
it
of a
interesting.
Kimasabe. Like, I was like the random white guy, like in the big ass group of black people, and they just, you know, treat me like another dude. Yeah, I'm one of the good ones, right? And like I was that dude in so many groups. So, you know, for a hustling career, that meant a lot because I'm you know, I ended up middlemaning a bunch of shit of people that normally wouldn't deal with each other because they couldn't or they wouldn't. They have their own issues going on.
I feel like Riley is currently middlemaning, like attempting to do that culturally with anime fans, like autistic anime fans, and like drug using rap, like tourist, like tourism, not
touring artists and stuff. You know,
touring
like
artists, there
real
we go.
rappers, gangsters. I mean, that would be my ultimate goal for Voidgazers.
Like Samurai
is to have a show
Champloo. Come on,
that's-
show up.
Right, I wanna be able to throw these concerts where people come out and chop from the Midwest, like hardcore Kansas City, like strange music rappers, and then like the opening to the concert is like an anime discussion panel, and then it's like and just do weird shit like
It's
that.
really funny that you said like you like Samurai Champloo show up because like at Otakon 2019, because there obviously wasn't a 2020,
Right.
There was a huge tribute concert to Nujabes where like all the rappers who had worked on the Samurai Champloo soundtrack were all there doing this like whole thing where their goal was also to bridge the cultural gap of autistic anime fans and a con going slash rap
Right,
fans
like-
and like
I mean, I've been watching anime for a hot minute, dude. Like,
Right.
my first girlfriend was into anime, and I remember her being like, "Hey, I heard of this new show that's coming out called Naruto. Do you want to watch it?" There was a really good quote from Bill Gates. He said that capitalism was the best way to translate my own personal gain into other people's benefit.
I think that like a lot of billionaires look at it that way, where they're like, all the good I've done is because I made all this money and I was able to put it into these things. But like whether or not what they're doing with the money is good is always going to be subjective. And with someone like Bill Gates, I always have this wariness where like, what was it that you read about him having like?
He recently bought 242,000 acres of land in the United States.
He's the largest farmland owner, a personal farmland owner.
Yeah, and I'm just
Amazing.
like, I hear something like that, and I'm like, I don't know what this means.
I like that.
Should I be afraid? Should I be hopeful? How should I feel about Bill Gates owning all this farmland?
I think
What's he gonna do with
I
it?
think it's
How
way
will it
less
impact me?
nefarious, Digi, than Jeff Bezos not owning shit, but like owning Seattle. Like everything that happens in Seattle is like on Bezos' terms.
That's crazy.
Because he like owns the city culturally. I'd much rather him own like farmland and be farming. I think
Well,
that
Bill Gates is a philanthropist. Like, he quit Microsoft and went straight, like, it was like really focusing into all his philanthropy.
he's getting a lot of shit right now because of the virus.
Yeah, he
It
put
took a lot of work.
shitload of money into researching an off-the-grid toilet just to help for sanitation in the third world. I mean, this dude's put a lot of work in his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he actually gives a shit about philanthropy. The guy's just a fucking nerd that happened to be at the right place at the right time, and he's a right bastard about negotiating a contract. I mean, there's really not anything that particularly special about the guy. Really,
And he just didn't spend his money. He didn't spend it for the longest time, and then he started spending it when he realized, like, oh, I could never spend all this. Like, you can easily say that Elon Musk is just, like, a dude who wants to go to space, and that's selfish and stupid, and he wastes a lot of money on it. But Elon Musk is, like, a guy who's able to go to space.
He's a dude that made enough money that now he gets to chase stuff like that. That's fucking sweet, no matter how you want to chop it.
I agree. I'm a big fan of Tesla, too.
The biggest
If he's trying to farm, think about how many people that Bill Gates can feed off of this newly acquired government land. The fucking Bureau of Land Management is your enemy. They're the people who are keeping land from you in a manifest destiny country.
We talk about this a lot. Like,
I fucking hate them. I'm from Nevada, dog. Like I spent my formative years in.
What do they do that like has?
They own where you are. Like they own it all. The Bureau of Land Management for the federal government.
So are.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this came up because he kept saying BLM regularly. Like
people didn't know what I meant.
He's obviously been using the acronym since before the new thing.
Yeah. So when you grow up in Nevada, you grow up like pushed through lots of architectural classes and like agricultural. You either have to build something or grow something if you live in Nevada, and you know that doesn't count Vegas. That's not part of our economy. But my dad worked at gold mines. And growing up, like, we lived in farmlands, and we'd live on farmland sometimes, where it's like, well, the house that we're renting is on a farmland, so part of my chores are taking care of some dude's animals. Right. And I always hated that shit. But you learn a lot about the Bureau of Land Management, and it owns, I don't want to have a wrong statistic, Bird, could you pull up 85%. How... Is that it? 85? Yeah, 85% of land is owned by the federal government.
Sorry, in Nevada.
In Nevada? Right.
The Bureau of Land Management's only like 13 states.
Okay, that's even
the West Coast.
Fascinating. That's even worse because I know where we went for Burning Dick was Bureau of Land Management land. It was BLM land, where they get to tell you like, oh, you can do all these things. If you don't, we fine you. And then there's nobody out there to find you, but they'll like bully you into.
You saying BLM was at the very start of Void Chasers 1, you say that it's on BLM land, and I just thought you meant California. Like
in Texas, there's one that's currently still going on. There's some guy that's been on the run from the law for like 35 years or some shit like that. He had a standoff with the cops in the 70s, got off to his property, and he's like, I ain't coming out. And they're like, well, we're going to wait you out. And they still are. He still hasn't come off his property. People like drop off and bring him groceries occasionally and shit like that. So for the longest time, people would always say, they're going to be the last ones to do it. And I was like, no, I think you're wrong. We're going to be second to last. It's going to be Utah.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Utah made it medicinal, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
That's just for the people who are making the laws to be able to get it. You know what I mean?
But they still did it in some way, form, or fashion. It's technically legal in Texas too, but you basically have to be like dying on cancer meds to get this stuff. Fucking one of the things that makes me like Elon Musk is right when I got out of prison, I immediately got a job, and it wasn't a bad job particularly. And I immediately started investing. And one of the first things I bought into heavily was Tesla. And it was right before they unveiled the Model 3. And man, that was a fucking like a rip. In about like a year and some change, I managed to turn like my initial investment into I imported a Skyline GTR.
Okay, nice. That's the Fast and Furious car.
Yeah. Well, they never had an R32 on there. That's what I got. It's the older one, but the older one's actually faster because it's lighter. Like there's no airbags, there's no crumple zones or crash panels or anything like that. It's like 3,000 pounds to go fast.
Right.
And dude, I don't regret buying that thing at all. It's so much fun, and it's a good conversation starter because you're driving on the wrong side. People are like, "What the fuck is that?" And people that know.
Right. Yeah. No.
People will like. I've had so many people. I'll just be driving on the highway. People must see me from a mile back or something like that, and someone will just blow my doors off, trying to like going like 130, 140 or something like that. And I'm like, "Fuck, this car's an antique, man. I ain't trying to catch you right now. Fuck."
This is another part of what I was saying about like why having connections is great and like the different ways of making money beyond making money. Like
if you don't have to buy drugs or clothes, like that is a way of making that money.
And I would have continued just buying like nothing but Walmart and Target clothes for like the foreseeable future, and thrift store clothes because most of my clothes come from thrift stores. So like historically, I've always bought clothes at thrift store. So like I didn't just get a bunch of thrift store clothes gifted to me. I got like a bunch of actual clothes that are good. So it's like, okay, now I like, don't have to worry about that at all as something that's like in my life or in my mind is like, oh, I have to work up to being able to afford these clothes. Like I'm working up to afford other things. Like I want to buy a server computer. Everything that just gets given to you, you can strike off the list.
Right.
And it's interesting to see what stuff like everybody wants to give something to someone. They just want them to appreciate it enough. You know what I mean?
Right. Or like the context for the appreciation has to be justified in X way, but
like you are somebody who wants to share your musical taste a lot. You like to sit people down and like play them an album you like and explain everything like about it.
Right.
It's like, okay, here's why I think this is cool. Like here's why this, like tell you everything about the artist and all this stuff. And like what you will hope to get out of that is that person will give a fuck or like it or be interested.
Yeah.
And if they're not, you're gonna be sad, and if they are, you're gonna be like, yes, I did it, And like for people who have a lot of money, like people who don't have money can't conceive of just like spending a whole bunch of money on someone because why not? It's fun.
Right.
Because they just don't understand what it's like to actually have money that you can do that with, where you could just say like, oh, it would make my friend's day if I bought him a fucking suit or something today, and I'm just gonna do that.
Well, I mean, it is good to have connections. I mean, back in the Gap when I was really hustling, man, I had to do for fucking damn near everything. Like, I busted out the window in my Accord, and I just called up this dude that I knew was a hardcore crackhead, and man, let me tell you, this dude got a new fucking window for me and installed it for me for $20.
Fuck yeah. There's a limited number of things that anybody can learn. I think we all should like accept the fact that like we cannot figure out how to do all the things in our lives. We need to just fucking have people around. It's just there's too much shit. Like,
right, you can be
everything.
I think everybody should be a Renaissance man, but that's like
you have to be to even survive.
I'm good at like 3 things. I'm really good at 3 different
things. Okay, to like survive in America, you have to like know how to drive well enough to do it every day, right? Like,
Did you
No,
fuck
that's
that
been
pillow,
that
Luke?
Oh fuck! I gotta
You okay? I'm heavy.
Time Witch is not the god of time. The time that is the actual god of time. I would not profess to be that powerful.
But how did the
Like,
time
okay.
Time Witch such
How did the Time Witch get her power over time?
from the god of time? But I wouldn't like if I was a Pokemon, I wouldn't be the god of time. It's too
Well, why
powerful.
not?
Well, so what's a
Their
Pokemon
standards
equivalent?
are too low, Digi.
No,
Yeah,
no.
if you
What's
were
a
a
Pokemon
Pokemon.
equivalent? What's a Pokemon that controls time? That's not Dialga. Are there any?
I don't know. I only know that.
I don't think there are.
There's no slow
I mean, I
Mobius,
don't
the Pokemon.
I don't even know if like Dialga actually has moves that control time like in the game. I don't know if those kind of moves
You're
exist.
just called a Pokemon. of
Well,
time.
that roar of time like uses the colors change on screen.
Giratina
All
is
the
the
generations.
I've never actually played Diamond and Pearl, so
It was
I
a
don't know
fun
enough about
game.
those two.
They
That's
never
the
did
generation I
anything.
missed.
Dialga had a ability called like Time Bomb or something.
All this space is empty right here, and you can just barely see Luke's face, and then it's you.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
so you know.
exist.
Alright, so
Fucking Digi
see
made me
that?
disappear.
Go back where you were. Stand between the trash can and the wall. So you're on. Alright, now everything between Luke is empty.
alright,
hmm
this right here. This is a PSA.
Cool.
How do you feel about people who make mistakes like that?
They fucking shouldn't. It's downright despicable, actually.
Yeah, you ever fucked up this bad before in your whole life?
I would be dead if I had ever done anything like that.
Well, this guy's probably dead. Just like this footage has been consumed by the void.
I have a YouTube series
Are
pitch.
these good?
It's called Eats Everything.
Yeah.
And you eat everything.
Like what? What do you eat?
Wings of Redemption! I'm not
No.
gonna buy unofficial fan merchandise.
Well, I'm not gonna sell it either.
Facial shit.
I'm not selling it either. I said you had to
buy
reach
it
through the
by
screen.
reaching through the screen.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were like coming with a t-shirt idea. I just didn't want you to like invest in it. I was like, oh, it's just been done.
Through the
They're
power
picking
of
up all the
Goblin.
habaneros and they're using them like grenades. They're storming the beaches of Raimundi. They're storming your beaches and throwing habaneros at you. Alright, now all those armament, I'm summoning them back over here. They're like a little, like a Pikmin group, but of little dudes. And now they're all taking pictures of Mint's butt because they're fucking perverts. So they're gonna lead them away from there.
Cover Mint's butt with an
they're
OnlyFans
offering.
symbol.
They're offering to sell the pictures to Riley. If you want these pictures,
Yeah, I'll buy them from the soldiers.
all right.
to
The soldiers
support
is
them.
selling. Riley's trying to figure out if he can resell them at a premium on OnlyFans. What do you guys think? Oh wait. They're saying they already got the pictures of Mint's butt when she walked over by the camera. Well, looks like you already paid for that premium content.
But having your butt on camera makes you a slut.
I don't have an ass. What ass is there to do?
I think I disagree. I don't think you have no ass. That is a mischaracterization.
Man, you're not a black woman, but you've got an ass.
Is she comparing it to her
It is there.
titties?
I mean, maybe not compared to your tits, but like that's like you have really huge tits. Like there's just no other way of putting it. I don't know what else to say. I could take half of hers and we'd still both have big tits.
Yeah, but my tits are
Show the
small.
pizza to the camera. Yes, you did.
Look at that.
You did it. Good housewife. That's a little better.
Yeah.
Good juice. Good juice.
Yeah, it does kind of taste
Juiced out.
heart.
Juiced up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't need a nut. Like, I don't know the next one.
It's better than a White Claw.
Bruh.
Bruh.
White Claw is based as
Can't be slamming the
fuck.
claw.
Water, but we put alcohol in
And it
it.
hits you harder than the Franzia, so.
Like drinking an entire soju bottle is the perfect. It's the perfect buzz.
Hey, Riley.
Sweet tea.
I think when it comes to like vegetables, like a lot of the nutritious part is in the stem versus the leaf.
Doesn't taste any worse than the rest of it, so we'll put some of it in.
And you have to develop a currency, and you're like fucking ruining it for everybody.
Well, you just have to have the ability to like step on me on an even higher meta level. I'm like, oh yeah, well I invented God, and like I now make,
totally.
yeah, everything you said is irrelevant.
But like what you're doing is like helping other people instead of like furthering yourself or avoiding being attacked. You know, instead of attacking or defending, you're just like healing other people.
Sure.
Or whatever. You gave Mint a buff. You're like, she's invincible. Actually.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, because she didn't immediately die when I shot her, I had to give a reason why my bullets are that weak.
Bullets?
Yeah.
You've got a wand. Is it a bullet? Wait, what would you call a magic shot?
I mean, I could do something other than a shot at her. I could do this.
I'm God.
Look at that. You didn't see that coming. The amount of time it takes for the full effect of that spell to be felt will be, you know, between now and when you actually watch this. So, like, the spell isn't actually cast until then. So when you're watching it is when, you know, you are seeing, whoop, and then magic happens. But, like, I casted this shit way back here whenever this was filmed. That could have been days, weeks, months, who knows, before this got edited. You know... So as a proper time witch, I always have to know what the long-term effects of my spells are going to be. If I cast a spell that turns her head into God, and then Riley moves the camera, and then I don't want to have to animate her head moving like across the pan, then I just have to undo her godliness before he moves the camera. So that it will just be a still thing I don't have to edit at all.
That's too
But
complicated.
it makes it way easier for me in the future.
Vince
That's
is like,
good
no,
time
I'm
witchcraft
God.
right there.
You can't
That's what it
God
means
me.
to be a time witch. You're always thinking a few steps ahead and behind at the same
Wait,
time.
are you just telling me to stop moving the camera? I can't. I'm trying to get this out of this lecture.
No, I've always made sure to
I'm trying
undo
to keep
before you
you-
have a chance to move the camera because I expect the camera to move. I just also, you know...
I'll hold it
looking out
on
for my
magic
editing.
shots so you can edit there, and then you.
You're offending our chef.
I have had a salted
I am a
strawberry.
chef.
Wait, you're a chef?
Wait, really? What?
No, I'm a cook.
What do you cook?
Cook. That's good.
I cook in a restaurant.
Well,
Perfect.
What do you cook? Like what restaurant? What not?
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah, like what style food?
What's the cuisine?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys
Tex-Mex?
can tell by my. I'm not sure if you guys can tell by my username, AutismoBonito, but you know.
Oh,
Spanish
right.
food, the tacos.
That's why I
assumed
assumed
and all that other
Tex-Mex.
stuff.
So Mexican food, great.
I don't know. Mexican food is just all like salty or really sour. It's one of those two. Where I work at, there isn't like a lot of people I could relate to because, well, and you know, when I'm not obviously right now, it sounds like I'm just, you know, but you know, when I'm not talking to people who I'd like to speak good word up to, you know, I'm generally just spastic. Not spastic. I'm just
ADHD, perhaps?
ADHD. I feel like I'm too smart to people because I just tell them shit. All right, I go like at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They barely fucking understand me.
I'm the only real producer here.
Similarly, would like if you know might say something like you know hear you say something and then think of something that is like kind of obscure as a reference point and then be like, oh, kind of like this, and then you know if it hits you'll be like, yes, exactly like that. That is the most accurate thing you could possibly have said. But if you don't know what this person's talking about, then you're going to be like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Right.
You know, then that person has to make the decision in their mind of, do I now explain to you what this is, or is it not worth it? Like, you know, and what level of explanation will I have to go to for you to understand what I'm talking about, you know?
Really cutting deep into me. I felt that way with Welcome to the NHK. I was watching that show during like November till December, and I was honestly just taking my time with it because I do not want it to end. It was just I've never seen anything like that. It just felt like I was looking into a mirror. I wasn't always like a fucking weeb. I started off, hating anime, right?
Right.
Like I remember in fucking ninth grade, right? I went to anime club, all right, and I was looking at my friend. I was like, dude, I fucking hate this shit. I fucking hate these people. Right, this motherfucker with his fucking Naruto.
That's my
headbands
current
and
take on anime
afro.
people.
And, like, the whole thing about it was that I did not want to associate with any of these motherfuckers. Right, but gradually over time, I became more and more of a fucking weeb to cope with, my failures in life. Like originally, I didn't want to be a fucking cook. I didn't want to go the route of of all my family. Because all my family, that's what they are. They're fucking cooks. They're going to the cooking scene and they're cooking all over the fucking strip. They're running their own restaurants. They have their own restaurants. And honestly, if I wanted to,
sorry,
I could, if I wanted to, I can go down that route. I can go down the route of being a top chef, like the rest of my family. But, part of me is like, I want to do something else. I don't want to continue down the route where I'm headed towards.
What would
you because I want to try to diversify where I'm going to.
If you don't like cooking, or like if you're like, I really don't want to do this because I don't enjoy it, and I like, especially if there's another thing that you do enjoy that you want to spend more time on, then like, I would encourage that. But if that is not the case, I don't think diversification for the sake of itself is a good idea. I think I've fucked up in my life by trying to do too many things and like half-heartedly like dipping my toes in this or that while not like I do have one thing that I'm very good at, like analytical writing. And I would even say that like just prose writing in general I'm pretty good at. But it's not even that I could be so much better at those things. It's that there's like 3 or 4 more things that I could be just as good at.
Sure.
Instead of being like vastly worse at about 100 other things.
Right. You've become a master of none by trying to be a jack of all trades. So I'm very particular about not learning new things because I'm really good at the few things I can do. Right. And I just want to spend time working at getting better at those things.
So like if there is something that you were like if you actively hated cooking and just wanted to do anything else, I'd be like, yeah, fuck cooking, go do anything else.
I see it. I see it with my entire family. That all of them, they come home all fucking tired, and they're always drinking and doing all this stuff, and it's not the route that I want to go to. But at the same time, it's the route that's
do you think
already
that
there.
Doing anything else, you will not end up drinking or doing something at the end of the night, being very tired? Because, like, if you're going for career, whatever that is, you will end up tired, you will end up drinking. Maybe not drinking, but, like, you'll have crutches.
It might be fast food, right? Like, that happens to a lot of people. They get fat.
If you have to get, like, drunk every day, like if you have to drink 6 beers after work every day, it means you're coping with something more than the work.
Right, it doesn't have any.
The job.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it doesn't have anything to do with the job because that's like borderline my behavior. Is like I'm always coping with drugs and stuff. Is like regardless of how much I'm getting done.
Right. No.
You're lesbian, right? You're lesbian, right?
What?
You're a woman, right?
Yeah. I'm
well, not a lesbian.
Yeah. So you can play Animal Crossing. Yeah. Chill vibes.
Eating a bowl of oatmeal while I record this.
Cop, stop. Hide that blunt. Eat that shit.
You eating a blunt?
Fuck. Never mind. I'm just a weak-minded sometimes. But, rhyming anytime I put my mind to it. I try and sometimes I rhyme a little stupid. But it's okay because I do it.
You do it.
This flow is weird, but I am snap, rap, crackle, pop, snap.
Rice Krispies.
I just like this beat too much.